the conference, and this is the research paper from the Crude School of Management, Bangalore, India. We are happy to present our research findings in the conference hosted by the Chitraka University, Indonesia. Our research is based upon the spillover effects created by the Russian and Ukraine war in Indian prices. That is why it has been titled as Spillover in Indian crude oil prices during Russia and Ukraine war. The basic presentation of our area is why we did this research, that is the motivation of the research, what is the problem we identified, what were the solutions from the previous researches, the main aim of the study, how we conducted the research, the findings from the capital market side, the findings from the commodity market side, the implications of the study in Indian situation. Finally, we end up with the strategy creation for the government of India. Let us start with the motivation of the study. We know clearly about the Russian-Ukraine war. The war exactly commenced on February 24th, 2022. By the time when the Russia decided to enter its troops into Ukraine, what happened for the crude oil price? You can see the severe fluctuations happened in the crude oil market. That is quite common. When the war erupts between two countries, there will be a supply chain disruption. Same thing happened there. The crude oil prices fell from around $100 per barrel with Russian sanctions against Ukraine. So this is quite natural during the war time. But you can see in case of India, the petrol, diesel prices remain steady across the different metros in India by February 25, 2022. Usually, if there is a war, there may be an impact in the petrol and diesel prices, but here there is no impact. It is steady. However, there is a very big problem in the global supply chain networking. We face the global supply chain issues because due to the war, the entire global chain has been affected. No movement from the Ukraine, and Eurasian countries also face that problem. The global supply chain, they changed. But you can see the price movement in India. The entire Indian pricing system. This is the price on the day of war, 1 month prior and 1 month after. That is the high price and closing price of the crude oil in Indian diaspora. You can see, of course, there is an increase and decrease, but on the day of war, there is less. After the 1 month, there is a heavy fluctuations because US imposed conditions against Russia. By the time, once again, there was a problem with the prices. The crude oil prices, of course, moved towards the 130 per barrel. It was said to be the highest after 2022 issues. But in case of India, you can see the demand usually tends to increase. Every year it used to increase, and in 2022 also they estimated that the Indian oil demand price will increase by 8%. The demand increased in India. The prices increased in global level. You can see the global level trend of the crude oil price. Even in case of European countries, there was an exponential problem, increase and decrease of the prices of the crude oil. But In case of India, it is not having very big impact. Even you can see the share market. This is a very good example of the ONGC share price movements in Bombay Stock Exchange. Of course, only small jumps we witnessed. There was no a big shake, and even now there is no shake. The entire share market has been observed in a different situation. When we gone through the previous war-related news, we identified something. First one, in 1990, that is Iraq versus the US war. By that time, the entire share market has been crumbled. The price has been changed, not only in India, everywhere. But that was a very big issue by that time. You can see one of the research on the effects of terrorism and war clearly mentioned that there's a covariance between stock and oil returns affected by the war. But there is no significant impact in the relationship between the sum of the stock indices. That's what they observed, even in the previous war time. Another research clearly mentioned that there is somewhat impact, but it is partially integrated with the stock market price of other countries also. The shock is there, but it is not too much during the time of war. That is why we conducted the research. We fixed the aim of the research clearly. That is, our aim is to determine whether oil prices in global market have spillover effects on Indian prices in capital and the commodity markets. So we conducted this research in 4 stages. First stage comprises of intraday, whether there is a huge intraday fluctuations and what happened on the day of war. Second one, what is the impact on the 5 Indian oil companies during the time of war, that is 1 month prior and 1 month after the war. In the third stage, we compare the spillover prices between the commodity price of the crude oil in India and the prices of the crude oil in offshore market. That is, with the help of the index, that is price of the US oil, we compared that one. We created the vector error correction modeling and we predicted the relationship. Finally, we identified what might have been the solution for that one, how Indian subcontinent escaped from this crisis. That was their findings. So, you can see the first concept, the intraday fluctuations, how far it has been affected. You can see the BSE Sensex movement during the February 24. You can see it started with a nice price. It tends to increase, decrease, increase. It increased also, but after the war announcement, you can see it tends to decrease in a very big manner. That is how the intraday fluctuations have been there because of this war announcement. It is quite common because during the war period, this thing will happen. But you can see the share price movement on the 24th, everywhere it has been decreased. BPCL decreased by 6.78%, HPL 6%. However, the ONGC only 2%, Oil India decreased only by 0.8%. See that one. That is the Indian situation, not heavily affected. Even if you compare the 1 month price, it is same. And in case of ONGC and oil, there is no impact. There is impact is very, very less. Even if you conduct the granular casualty between the prices, there is no absolutely major changes. There is no significant changes. There is some bumps before and after. You can see the upward trend is high before the war. Even after the war, there are some upward trends, one or few times. Because based upon the Indian government situation and the decision, there is only a small jumps. It is not a big impact. The shock is less. Even we compared the relationship between the crude oil price in India as well as the global prices. Of course, there is a relationship. That's a prediction. Indian crude oil price depends upon the crude oil price in the offshore. That is quite common. It has been proved. But you can see the vector error correction modeling also says that if the change of crude oil prices move to 1% or move down to 1%, it will have an impact in India by 2.4%. That is how the Indian market is adjusting towards the crude oil. That has been proved previously also. But in case of India, it has not been affected. Why? What is the beyond that one? When the war has been announced by the Russia, after 1 week, even the US and its allies fixed the conditions and they imposed some restrictions against the Russia. Even some of the countries insisted that India should not buy oil from the Russia. That is quite different. But what happened in case of India? You can see the nice news mentioned by the Times. That is, before Russia and Ukraine war, India's crude oil basket, that is total market share of India purchasing from Russia, is 2%. But after the war, that is after 1 month, it tends to increase. You can see that one. Now at present it is 12%. The Indian purchasing from Russia increased to 12% after the war. That is from 2% to 12%. That's a tremendous change. Even the India purchased around 12 million barrels only from Russia in 2021. But it has changed after the war. That is the strategy created by the government of India. That is the wise move. That is why all the press people appreciated the Indian trend, how it has been adjusted with that one. See that one, a small thing made a big change. You can see Indian government market share purchasing from the Russia increased, but you can see the gain momentum. The Russia offered to give to India as a discounted price. That is another interesting thing. You can see India has gained around 35,000 crore in Indian rupees. That is at the discounted price. So, the spillover effect in India is created by the gain what government of India gained from the Russia because of the discounted price. That is why, even though the prices are moving upward downward direction, India crude oil price in public market has not been affected because the Indian government gained around 35,000 crores. See that one. That is the reason why the impact is less and it has been nicely managed by the government. So as a conclusion, during the wartime, we have to find out the price cap momentum with the disrupted country or the country involved in the war. We have to create a new strategy. And the supply chain strategy should move towards the outreach supply chain. How India identified the gains from discounted price from Russia and changed the supply chain according to the Russian limits. That is how India managed nicely and get rid of the problem among the Russian and Ukraine war. So our finding simply says that there is a spillover of the crude oil price among Indian and other countries. But Indian government managed that one. How it managed? It changed the supply chain management towards the outreach method. Outreach supply chain method it identified and moved slowly from some of the purchasing system towards Russia. That is, they identified the price cap momentum clearly. This made the government of India successful move, and during the price and war times we can go for this type of strategy. With this, we conclude our research presentation. The credit goes to other two researchers. One is Dr. M.K. Baby, Head Department of School of Management. Next researcher is from the Management Science, Professor John Pradeep Kumar. We thank all the researchers also. So with this, we conclude my presentation. So it is open for the queries now. Now you can post the queries. Thank you.